Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Shutterfly. If you're like us, you take a lot of pictures because you have a camera right in your hand all the time. How would you not take a lot of pictures? And we're taking all these pictures, more than we've ever taken in the history of the world.
What are you going to do with them all?
That's the thing. You used to get a solid picture, and then you'd look through them, and you could enjoy them. Now they're like back on your camera roll. You can't even find them. You don't want that. That's why the cool thing you need to do, and what I did, and I think it's pretty cool, is create a Shutterfly photo book.
Oh.
What I did, and you're going to enjoy this, Jimmy, because I haven't showed this to you yet, but took all of our pictures from being on tour this year.
Oh.
All live show pictures, us backstage, us on stage, doing all that stuff, and like some of the, just the venues and things, and made a little photo book out of that. Also, they have free 24-hour designer service as well. With their 24-hour designer service, a professional designer is going to lay out the book for you for free in just a day. Make something that means something with Shutterfly. Enjoy 40% off orders over $29 with promo code SMALLTOWN. See site for promotional details.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
This week, we check out the little out-of-the-way town of Kensett, Arkansas, where one man's senseless brutality was on full display. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
You're not far off with that yay. You're nailing it. Bullseye. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my yaying co-host.
I'm Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Great week. You guys have been excellent to us. Thank you guys. First of all, iTunes reviews this week were amazing. You guys are blowing us away. So many new listeners are coming on board.
It's crazy.
Which is great. Thank you guys for joining us. Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
If you're brand new now, we'll have a disclaimer for you in a minute, so watch out for that just in case. But otherwise, just want to thank everybody, like we said, for the iTunes reviews. They are kind of the engine that keeps the whole thing moving.
They're stacking up.
They're stacking up, and it's awesome. And we're starting to look very favorable among some of the heavyweights, which is really great for a couple of guys like us because we're not famous people. We're not
You're
journalists.
not?
No, I'm not either. No. We're not journalists. You know what I mean? No. We don't have some giant media conglomerate pushing us.
Unfortunately,
we don't have anything like that. So it's just you guys being amazing and helping us out. And thank you guys so much for that. And for the people especially who have donated on Patreon, a lot of people have done it this week too. Thank you guys so much for that.
Unbelievable.
Thank you guys. This is so much hard work, and every dime is appreciated. Yeah. If you can't make a donation, no problem. That's great. Thank you for joining us. We don't care, but if you want to make that extra effort and keep this going and keep this keep it yours, you can do that. You can go to patreon.com/crimeinsports. That's our other podcast, which you should absolutely be listening to, whether you like sports or not. Doesn't matter. It's just like this.
Right.
Sports are like the town. It's the same thing. It's just context. That's all it is right there. So you should check that out. Make the donation there. There's some cool rewards on there. If you want to make a one-time donation, you can do that too over at PayPal. You can use our address, crimeinsports@gmail.com, and you can drop us a donation there. No problem there.
We appreciate it.
And we appreciate it so much we can't even describe it to you.
Yeah.
If you don't, like we said, if you don't want to make a donation or you can't make a donation, awesome. Thank you guys for hanging. We appreciate it. We know your thoughts are with us. Good enough for us.
We'll take them.
We'll take it. We'll take goodwill and thoughts. Go tell a couple people about it and do an iTunes review and we're happy. Or do nothing. Sit on your ass and listen to murder. Shut up and give me murder, damn it.
Damn right.
Damn right. Before we do get into murder, we have to do our disclaimer as always. Unfortunately, this is a comedy podcast. Yeah. We're both comedians, so there's jokes here. The research is real. Yeah. The facts are real. The murders are real. Everything about it is real. We do make jokes, though. We make jokes at the expense of towns because we're all from a shitty town. Yeah. We make jokes at the expense of bumbling police forces, crazy people, murderers.
Yeah.
We can make fun of murderers, can't we? Good God. What else can we do?
if you can't make fun of a murderer, who can you make fun
of at that point? One thing, though, we do not ever, and we never intend to make jokes at the expense of the victim or the victims' families. That's not what we're about. As our slogan has become here, we're assholes, but we're not scumbags.
It's true.
And that's really the best way it can be put, because it's true. We do rip people, and we are kind of assholes, but we're not scumbags, and we're not going to make fun of poor people that lost their family or something like that. Yes, we're not horrible, like, frat boys sitting here, like, making fun of someone who lost their daughter or something. That's not what we're all about at all.
Frat boys do that, I'm sure.
I would imagine so. Yeah,
they'd be like,
look at her and her crying over a kid.
Well, they finger another frat boy.
I like how you said another frat boy.
I
thought you were going sorority on that one. No, you went frat boy.
They finger each other and then pretend that they're in a club together. Like,
I'm going to finger my frat brother here real quick.
So sick.
Hey, Stinky, come over here. I'm going to stick a finger in
that's the thing they do, too, is give him some shitty nickname.
Let's give each other terrible nicknames.
After they jam digits up his rear end.
Call each other that for the next 40 years.
For the rest of their lives.
As a CEO of a major corporation.
Come here, Stinky.
It's exactly what it is. It's horrible.
Fucking dumb.
So let's head out to our town for whoever's left here. New people, welcome aboard. Like we said, not that bad. No. Some people get a little offended at any humor around murder. Yeah. So if you don't think that true crime and comedy should ever belong together, this is probably not the show for you.
Probably true.
We give you a hearty handshake and we bid you adieu.
Yeah.
That's all there is to that. Because we are going to have some murder. So if you want to be here for murder, if you want us to shut up and give you murder, that's about what we're going to do here. Let's head to our locale this evening, shall we? Let's head out this week to Kensett, Arkansas.
Okay.
And it is pronounced Kensett because I saw several local news broadcasts that prove that.
Spelled?
Kensett. So you'd say Kensett. No, it's Kensett down there, I imagine.
Makes sense.
And it's funny hearing like reporters, because reporters aren't from where they're reporting from.
It's just whatever shit location took them for now.
And they've taken classes to get rid of any accent they might have had somewhere else and things like that. So it's a guy I'm here in Kensett. And you're like, that's not how you would say that. You know it, sir. You know it. But I actually saw it on several news reports where they were. This is like, as stereotypical as you get, but there was a guy standing there, and there was tornadoes. The reporter was standing there, and he's like, I'm standing here on the site of what used to be a mobile home. And then they literally pan up to a tree, and they're like, it's now wrapped around this tree. And it's literally wrapped around a tree. Like, it just took it into a thing, and there's poor people trying to get things out of the wreckage, with masks on and everything, trying to pull things out. And they're just like, here's this family trying to pull their lives out of the wreckage, but there's their shitbox trailer wrapped around a tree.
They got a can opener to get their pictures out.
Back to you. I got to head back to Toronto for a vacation with my family right now, so I'll see you guys later.
It's hilarious. When I was a kid, my stepfather's ex-girlfriend had quote-unquote wrapped his car around a telephone pole, and it had like a dent in the side. It wasn't wrapped around anything. This is legit.
This was actually wrapped around a tree. This was like if you just took like a streamer and wrapped it around something. That's what it looked like.
It's the yellow ribbon for the oak tree.
That's what it was. It was sheet metal for fallen trailers past or something. I don't know. Remembrance. It's in the central part of the state, slightly off to the northeast, but pretty much central part of the state. This is true blue Arkansas land right here. It's about an hour outside of Little Rock.
Okay.
So it's off the beaten path a bit here. It's in White County, zip code 72082, area code 501. The town's website, boasts that city of Kensett is, quote, a place to call home.
Fascinating.
That's not real creative on that one.
Every county can be.
Anywhere can be a place.
Right.
Anything. You can pick a plot of desert and go, there's a place to call home right there.
And there's so many counties in Arkansas, too.
There's a lot, yeah.
A tornado can literally throw your trailer to another county.
Another county, yeah. If there wasn't that tree there, we don't know how far it would have
been 2 counties over.
Because this thing wasn't like on the bottom of the tree, the trailer. It was like 3 stories up. So it took it from the ground 3 stories up, wrapped around a tree. If that tree wasn't there, that thing could have went a county over. Like literally, it was crazy. It's a small town, 1.85 square miles, so not a very big. A lot of these towns, they're small. They're small in area. Yeah. They're just small. History here. Not oil, Jimmy, not at all. It was a stop on the Missouri and North Arkansas Railroad.
I almost said Underground Railroad. It is a railroad.
There was a railroad. Yeah, there wasn't really much going on when Underground Railroad was happening.
I can't imagine.
Pre-Civil War, this was all farmland. Okay. This was just, I don't know if people owned slaves. Yeah. There's a graveyard around there in the county that is said to have unmarked slave graves there. Really? And it's really weird. And then they have other black people buried there with tombstones. So they have it. It's almost like they're like, we should dig that up at some point. But we'll get to that later. We got other shit to do. Like. It's like let's figure out who's buried here. How about we do that first?
After we pluck all these trailers out of these trees.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, we got a trailer wrapped around the spruce tree in the yard, so we're going to go ahead and figure that out.
It's trailer season. We got to pick those.
It's trailer season, exactly. They're out in force. I'm telling you, you go out in the forest, they're everywhere.
They're blooming.
It's better for them to clear them out. Otherwise, they don't have no food. How are they going to feed? There's going to be too many of them. Now it became a town after the Cairo and Fulton Railroad, which was later the St. Louis, Iron Mountain, and Southern Railroad, was built through the county in 1872. So this settlement here was named for Thomas Kensett, who was a member of the railroad's board of directors. Oh. So he comes in and he's like, it's not. He probably doesn't even live there. Right. He was just like laid it down. They're like, well, name it. There's jobs now. Name it after him who gave us jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Kensett.
He comes in flicking change and candy to the children. Like, here you go, kids. Pennies. Here you go, kids. They're like, oh, a shiny penny. Right. Why do I always make them Dickens kids? Right. I always make them like chimney sweeps. I did it last week too. Whenever I see a poor, wretched kid that needs change, that's what I see in my head.
Wretched.
And this would be totally different. This would be like a shoeless Huck Finn hillbilly child, here. But instead, he's even in the middle of summer. He's got the hat on and the scarf. Right. He's a chimney sweep. He's very cold.
He's going to push his cousin off his balls to say
coming down with something. Right. You know what I mean?
He's definitely got a phlegmy talk.
Big time.
It's a phlegmy thank you.
It's super phlegmy here. People started to come here in the early 1900s. By 1915, a fire destroyed pretty much the whole business district, as all of these towns around the turn
of wood.
Turn of the century, just everything burned, basically. Even they had one store, which was an A&P, which was like the grocer, turned into the grocery store A&P. By 1920, we had 480 people here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, 480 people, starting to boom.
Yeah, just in time for the Great Depression.
Just in time for that, and also just in time for, in 1946, right after the war, right as the World War II was ending, the railroad disestablished itself in that area. So that really screwed everything up.
Terrible.
They tried here in the 50s, they built a school. They built a 2-story high school, nice. and then it was destroyed by a tornado, of course. Everything here is destroyed. Stop living here. There's you have no security.
Something's telling you to leave.
Yeah, you have no security that your home will not be wrapped around a tree by the end of any given night. Like, this is scary shit. When you're driving cross country, you're driving like through Oklahoma. Yeah. I'm not stopping.
No,
I just want to get through there as quickly as possible so I don't get swept up into the heavens. That's all I'm looking to do here. Ridiculous. This lumber mill, though, went back and forth. Got sold to people, was out of business for a while in business, and then finally, 2005, it closed down for good. And pretty much there was a Walmart that popped in the late 70s.
Oh, thank God for those Waltons.
Yeah, that's it. And that was 2 miles away from Kensett in nearby Searcy, and that was pretty much,
Everybody commutes to work now.
Well, they do. Well, the problem was it had a little downtown with a bunch of stores, and they all closed down in the late 70s when the Walmart opened up 2 miles away. So the town didn't get the tax dollars either because it was 2 miles away, and nobody had their stores anymore. So this is the type of town that a Walmart will just crush beneath its boot and fucking stomp it out.
The whole state of Arkansas just props them up, and they're like, they're the greatest people ever. No, they're not. They ruined this whole fucking town.
They're the largest employer. It's like, because they shut everything else down. They have to be.
there's nowhere else to work.
Either that, if they didn't, nobody could buy any of their shit. So people are working there like it's like script, like company script, like they're in the coal mines in the 20s. You know what I mean?
You're spending all your paycheck at that store anyway. You're basically working for free.
Half my paycheck for some hardtack. I don't know if that's fair, but I guess all I could get here. Like that's the fuck they were doing here. Public schools were finally integrated in 1966 here, so that's a good thing. Anyway, they got on board with that.
Very progressive, this place.
Only a few years after civil rights was passed, only right when they were forced to do it. But they really, they tried.
Their feet were charred from being held to it.
Yes,
Jesus.
exactly. Population of this town, small town, 1,651 people.
Okay.
Been pretty much the same for about the last 30 years. Hasn't really, it's gone up and down. 50 people here and there. It fluctuates, but that's just people dying and being born. That's all it is. Doesn't feel like a whole lot of people are leaving or coming. It's just good. She died and he was born. Excellent, perfect. Everything here is pretty average as far as stats go. With the age, it's within 2 years. Female, male, very balanced. Everything. This is like your typical, like a very small rural town.
Yeah.
Like everything is on point with averages. The only thing that's a little higher or a little lower would be like the never married population. That's about it. That's about it, and I think that's a lot to do with the religious aspect of it.
Probably.
A lot of kids here too. People have kids. If you get married, you're having a bunch of kids here. That's it.
That's just the way it goes in the South.
It absolutely is. We'll break down the race, religion, that sort of thing here. 60.36% white, which is 62% the average. So that's about on point. That's what I mean. They're so on point with most averages. 11.78% black, 12% the average. So they're right there. Zero Asians. There's no Asians there at all.
I expected higher black, though, because Arkansas has a pretty high population of black folks.
Absolutely, but I don't know how much, rural-wise, things were pretty segregated for a while, and I don't know how much. I mean, the schools were integrated in 1966. I don't know how much. Welcome time.
Gang Banging in Little Rock, the HBO documentary?
Well, that's Little Rock's a city, though. Little Rock's a city.
In Arkansas, there are a lot of tough fucking black guys.
Yeah, I'm saying in the 30s, if you went and wandered out through Kensett, you'd probably have to be out by sundown, as we've come across in El Dorado, Illinois, and that sort of thing.
You get the hell home.
You get the hell home. It's probably one of those. So I don't know how much the rural areas. It's weird. These small towns. When I do research, they're either very heavily black in the South, a rural area, or very not heavily black. Once in a while, you get the balance, but it's pretty rare actually. So no Asians whatsoever here, which is what you'd expect. 25% Hispanic, which is farmland.
That's
Farms.
A lot, though.
That's farming right there.
That's pretty high. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's just we need farm help, and they go where farming is. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's a lot of the jobs here.
A lot of the Latin Americans roam from countryside to country. That sounds so terrible.
Yeah, I do.
But they're farriers. They take care of horses and stuff. And there's a lot of westernized Mexican guys.
It's true.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I get what you're saying.
They're cowboys.
What he's saying is what he said was not racist. That's what he's saying.
There's a lot of Latin cowboys. That's what I'm saying. Legit cowboys.
Yes, I know. You see them out here with those shiny buckles and turquoise. And you're like, what the hell are you wearing? Fringe hanging off of them? It's like, wow, you are
in ostrich boots. Like, where did you get those?
You see them like 20 years ago. Just if there was a De La Hoya fight, the streets would be flooded with guys that look just like that going, De La Hoya, any De La Hoya? And you're like, I think that bar might have it. I don't know. Very religious here. 60.1% religious. That is good 10% over the average here. 29.7% Baptist.
You betcha.
That's right. They are the Catholics of the South, as we've said, and vice versa. So
it's so goddamn funny.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's what it is. You're one or the other. That's it. Or unless you're in Utah, and then it's the LDS, the Catholics of the West, or the Baptists of the West.
The Catholics of the beautiful mountain area of the country.
That's it. Not a big shocker here. 0.0% Jewish, 0.0% Muslim. So there's going to be some violence because there are no Jews or Muslims. And as we know from these towns, just statistically speaking, this is no no any kind of study on this. There's nothing that goes into this. This is just by the numbers. Looks like that means violence. Bad things are happening. Voting wise, about 75% Republican, 22% Democrat. So it's a very conservative area, as you would expect with the religion. That almost lines up exactly with the religious people there. So So that sort of thing. Companies have moved to Kensett because of the natural gas industry recently, and it's also known as, this is hilarious, it's known as a center for landscaping and nursery activity.
Fascinating.
Yes, it's a double spring sod farm they have. They have another nursery that's well known for Japanese maples and peach trees, that sort of thing.
It's very moist there, so it makes sense that shit's going to grow. Yeah.
It's very, there's like moss growing on shit. Shit will grow. Median household income here is about $26,000 a year, which is half the national average.
And that sounds like what Walmart pays.
It's rough here. 33% of people make under $15,000 a year.
Fuck.
1 in 3 people make it. That's about 3 times the average of normal people. When people
so
make
poor.
that. That is very poor. Less than 4% of people make $75,000 a year or more. Less than 4%. The average
75. Like we were talking. Usually, we're talking about $100,000 or more. We're talking about $75,000.
Usually, people that make more than $75,000, it usually equals out to about 35% of the population. Here, 4%. Shit is poor. This is like the old. They couldn't afford the other O and the other. They just Po. That's these people. They just couldn't. What athlete said that? Which when we Crime and Sports
I forget
episode,
who it was.
It was hilarious. Anyway, it's an old saying, but still very funny out of his mouth.
It was. It doesn't matter. Go on.
48.5% of people that are under the age of 18 are below the poverty line.
Wow.
That is half the kids there are under the poverty line.
Half the kids are on free lunches.
It's poor. Most of the jobs, they have double the construction and extraction jobs as normal, that sort of thing. Very blue collar. Building maintenance is like 3 times the average.
I'm trying to wrap my head around half are on below
crazy.
the poverty line. That's so much.
That's so
I
much.
grew up
That's
in a really
terrible,
poor neighborhood, and we had like 30 kids out of our entire school were on free lunch, and we made fun of them.
This is my trailer's wrapped around the tree. I need something to eat today.
This is unbelievable.
This is poor. Yeah, the bad shit here. Cost of living, though, is also low. As we do the whole thing, a par would be 100 would be your average. 73 is the cost of living here. But most things are average. Transportation, everything, groceries, health, they're all around average, except for housing, which is a 26 out of 100. You could buy half the town or a normal house in a normal
what's
city.
in your couch?
It's crazy.
Holy shit.
None of the houses in the town are valued over $200,000. 38% of them are valued between $40,000 and $60,000.
Jesus.
So that's what we're dealing with. This is a very poor area, and if we've convinced you cannot stay away from Kensett, Arkansas, we have for you the Kensett, Arkansas Real Estate Report. Yes. We have a 2-bedroom apartment here. On the average, goes for about $667. Which is way less, $400 less than the average.
Which means you can find them cheaper and more expensive.
I'm sure
you can find one for $300 there.
You probably could.
You could buy one for a now and later on a Tic Tac.
You could. You could just pay this mortgage that's so low. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,450 square foot house for $59,500. That's nothing.
That is cheaper than a pickup truck.
That is.
That's crazy.
Seriously, that's cheaper than an SUV.
Yeah.
You can get a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's 2,100 square feet, and it's a nice brick house. It's a fucking brick house out in Arizona. That would be a fortune.
Tornado's not pulling that away.
$99,000 for this house. So you can big, nice house. Your whole family could fit in. Nice stuff, but there's nowhere to work. But good luck if you have the $99,000 already.
You got an $800 mortgage with insurance,
or you just want to pitch a tent. I don't know. You're an outdoorsman out there in Arkansas. 15.2 acre lot for $85,000.
$85,000.
That's a shitload of land. That's a shitload of land.
15 acres.
That's a lot. Things to do in Kensett, Arkansas. Huge, as you might imagine. Tons of things to do.
Yeah. Run from tornadoes.
Run from tornadoes. That would be number one. Run from tornadoes and pick trailers out of trees. That's about it. Only 2 things listed on their Facebook page under sightseeing. And those are the Robertson House, which is just an old house.
What?
And then the Kensett Police Department.
Oh, boy.
Which only has 3.9 out of 5 stars on the Facebook app there. So watch your shit, cops.
3.9.
Yeah, they can't even get 4 stars out of this town.
Dicks.
They're not doing well. The crime, which is what we're interested in, obviously.
I mean, the people that visit a police station are visiting it to negatively review it. You know
I would imagine
mean?
so. I don't think they're going, I'm just going to go see what's going on down there and take a look around.
No, it was horrible.
The architecture's beautiful. I just love the ceilings. It's gorgeous.
I got arrested for a DUI. I'm giving it 1 star.
I got to go bail my brother out for his DUI.
2 stars.
Yeah, 2 stars. It was a nice waiting room, and they had a Wi-Fi, and they gave me the password. So I'm not gonna give him 1 star.
The water cooler was dry.
It was fine. Now that's 1.5 stars. Now I got to bring it down. crime rate here. Property crime, which is, burglary and robbery, or not robbery, but burglary and theft and all that sort of thing, is right about national average, but well below Arkansas state average.
Really?
Arkansas's crime rates are way higher than national average.
Are they insane down there?
They are. Violent crime, which is rape, murder, rape, robbery, assault, as we've found out, is about half the national average and about 1/3 of the state average.
Okay.
So very low. It's a quiet, safe, little average, poor town is what this is. This is just like it's a town from a movie that would be like, we got to save this town.
It's a great place to call home.
Don't shut down the factory. You're begging some mogul to not, begging the rail executive to not, please don't shut down the factory. Where are we all going to work? Oh, it's sad, man. That's sad. Hearing the poverty rate is just, God,
that's heartbreaking.
That's heartbreaking.
Because I think about the kids, like the adults, like they fucked up. And,
they'll figure it out.
Right, they'll figure it out. But the kids, it's like they got no way to take care of themselves.
None,
and
especially
in poverty,
there.
for Pete's sake.
They might not even have their trailer.
Right, they're living like Eminem in Detroit.
So. Speaking of bad things and crime and violent crime, let's talk about murder.
Okay,
shall we do that? Let's talk about murder. This is a pretty straightforward murder here too. This isn't like we've had last couple weeks that were very convoluted. And this one and that one, which are great because they're twisty and all that. But there was like a husband and a wife, and she hired this one because she's mad about the custody, and then he testifies to that. It's all
and a stripper beats her in fucking court.
It's crazy. Yeah, we've had some crazy shit. This is like a straightforward. All right. This is terrible. Why did this happen? Right. And then some crazy shit that happens in the aftermath of it that is wild, that kind of lends itself to Arkansas and places like that. Not really the town's fault, but we'll blame it on this guy. We'll blame it on Johnny Michael Cox.
Okay.
Let's talk about Johnny Michael Cox. That is his real name, Johnny, Johnie, not double N, not John, Johnny.
Oh, boy.
Johnny Michael Cox. We'll call him just Cox because it's fitting, and we'll see here. We're going to catch up with Johnny Michael Cox in 1989. Ooh, the 80s in Arkansas.
Beautiful.
Beautiful times.
Yeah.
Just, oh, my God, imagine
Bill Clinton's the governor or something like that?
He's the governor at that point. I mean, you think about it, just at that time, too, it was a different time in America. That was a time you could walk down the streets and just pick a trailer right out of the tree. You know what I mean? And no one would care. It's just beautiful. Beautiful times.
You go for a walk and smell the trailers.
Just smell it. Fresh, blooming, blossoming trail. It's trailer season, everybody. Perfect. Johnny Michael Cox here. He, 1989, he's 42 years old.
Okay.
Just pretty much, from everything that can be gathered, just a loser. Yeah. Basically, just has nothing going on for himself. He lives in rural Arkansas, which doesn't make you a loser on its own.
But it's brutal.
It's tough, and especially if you're not educated or you're just, this guy's just floating around, 42-year-old guy with no direction. Not a ton is known about him other than this. I mean, it's one of these things. There are two cases right around this case that happened that were extremely highly publicized. So this is one of those cases, even if you're from this area, I'm not sure that you might have caught this on your radar. It's one of those where you're like, it was so big on the other two, this one kind of slipped underneath.
Like Chandra Levy in 9/11.
It's one of those things, So you that's why I kind of picked it, because I'm like, this. I don't think this case got any due from anybody. It's one of those. So we get to All Saints Day. Do you know what date All Saints Day is, Johnny?
I don't.
No, All Saints is November 1st. Okay, I didn't know what the hell All Saints Day was.
I'm guessing something Catholic, though.
It's pretty Catholic, and actually other religions get into it, too. But All Saints Day is known, there's a bunch of different things it's known as. It's basically a festival. It's to celebrate all of the saints that are like known and unknown but don't have a holiday. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, these are like your lesser saints. These are like your backup quarterbacks. It's just like a backup quarterback parade. You know what I mean? Hey, let's bring them all out, guys.
This is
Good
Bobby
job.
Brister Day.
Yeah, he held the clipboard. This one did that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It really
that fucker
is.
got 2 rings for nothing.
That's all it is. Just hanging out. It's exactly what this is. It's backup quarterback day, but they're trying to do it. It's celebrated by the Roman Catholic Church, Methodists, the Lutherans, Protestants, Eastern Orthodox. There's a lot of people that do this, apparently. Okay. I did not know this was a thing at all.
I mean, I was raised fairly well Catholic for a while, and I've never heard of this.
No clue. But this All Saints Day, and the fact that it's All Saints Day is very looming in this story.
Okay.
It's a major thing because this is November 1st, 1989, and old Johnny Michael here, Cox, goes to Marie Sullen's place in Kensett, gets in his car, and drives specifically to go to her apartment.
Okay.
Now, she is 67 years old. She is his grandfather's wife.
Okay.
This is his step-grandmother.
Right.
Okay. Now, he knows his grandfather's not home at this moment, so he's going there on purpose to kill her.
What?
Okay, he's got to kill his grandfather's wife.
Girlfriend.
Wife. No, I need
right.
to go kill my step grandmother. Because, by the way, he chose the day, All Saints Day, because he thought in his head that if he killed her on that day, she'd go right to heaven.
Right. She's going to become a saint right now.
Not even an escalator, just like an express elevator, not even touching the first 35 floors. Boom, right there. Heaven.
Yeah.
So he's like, we can do this. I'm going to kill this lady. She'll go right to heaven. Everybody's happy at that point.
Of course.
Who hasn't had a thought like that?
The judge would even say, you made her a saint. Have a nice day.
That's the thing. Like,
right.
she is one of the All Saints Day saints now. She'll be celebrated forever.
Right.
She is the backup quarterback of the New Orleans Saints at this point. So this guy here, he goes over there. I don't know what he's thinking. He tells people, and it's said that he thought that she was trying to kill his grandfather.
Okay.
Now, this is not from his grandfather.
Right.
His grandfather doesn't come to him and say, "Help me, please, my wife's trying to kill me." He just suspects that she's trying to kill his grandfather. So he's
going to
like,
do grandfather a favor.
He's like, tell you what, this
save
is a
you.
good coincidence that it happens to be All Saints Day today. Kill her, right to heaven. Everybody's happy. Grandpa's safe. We're all good here.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Apparently, she was the one looking after his grandfather. I guess the grandfather was older than she was at 67.
When you said she was 67 and he's 48?
42.
42.
Yeah.
I'm going, those years don't really add up.
He's probably 85 and
Right.
she's 67 or whatever. And Cox here, Johnny, thought that she had attempted several times to kill him by leaving the gas on in his apartment.
Okay.
That's her strategy, apparently. And so... normally when you would think that, you'd maybe have a suspicion. Maybe you'd talk to her. Maybe you'd talk to your grandfather.
Maybe
make sure
call the
everything's all
police.
right. And that's the thing. If you think it's out of control to the point where she is absolutely trying to kill my grandfather, maybe get the police involved. Maybe a knock on the door from a cop going, "Hey, we want to make sure everybody's okay," would make her in the future not try to kill him. You know what I mean? You never know. Might put the thing, now they suspect me. Fuck, I can't do this. But no, he says, I'm going to go there. It's a good day for this. He arrives at the apartment, though, and doesn't find her alone, which is what he expected.
Yeah.
He expected to find a 67-year-old woman there. That's an easy kill. Jesus. I mean, we've all killed 67-year-old women. It's super simple, right? You just push them right over and they die.
It's
just
over.
It's super easy. Yeah.
Spray them with the mist.
It's so simple. Yeah, then you touch them and they break into a million pieces.
Right.
That's how it works. They're
Right.
like this little stone statue. So he goes over, and instead there's Margaret and William Brown are over there.
Oh, my God, there's two more.
Two more people, Margaret and William Brown. They're 34 is Margaret, and William Brown's 32 years old.
Oh, goodness.
They are related to Marie Sullins.
Yeah.
I believe they're possibly her grandkids, nieces, nephews, that sort of thing. It never really comes out exactly what their relation is to her.
I guess every Margaret has to be 32 at some point in her life, but that's a bummer to be Margaret.
34.
Oh.
Well, 34 in 1989, so she was born in 1955,
But
which
Margaret,
is an acceptable thing to name your kid in 1955.
That's brutal.
I knew a girl in high school whose name was Margaret, and that was rough. That was rough.
Terrible.
There was 4 sisters, and they were Margaret, Martha, Alice, and Catherine.
Oh, my goodness.
What? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They're from the 1800s. I swear to God.
That is so depressing.
That's sad. Yeah, that's really, and it's just...
In their 60s, they're going to have a great name, but when they're 15, no.
Yeah. And they drank milk with dinner every night, which I
course
found
they did.
super
Of
disturbing.
course they
That was so weird. They were from Minnesota, and I was like, you
Whole
guys
milk.
drink... it was super strange. They didn't talk very much. They were just... They
You
named their
would
kids
want to.
boring
You gotta
names.
be shy.
It was... You can tell a lot by how boring someone is if they name their kid Martha or Margaret. No offense, Margarets out there in the world. Sorry about that. Or if you named your kid Margaret, I don't know why you named your child Margaret, but they're like these old timey names are coming back, and it's super fucking
It's
weird.
awful. My
It's
grandma's
really
name is
weird.
Martha, and it fits because I only remember her at
she's an old
52
lady.
and older, so it's fine.
Exactly. Perfect.
But
Yeah.
she had to be 19 at some point.
At some point, well, when she was 19, it was okay, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure
you got a
about
point,
now. Yeah, everyone was.
Martha at a sock hop is fine.
The words "Martha's a pretty nice piece of ass" was spoken a lot back then, whereas now I don't think you hear that as much. Right? Am I wrong? Anybody out there? I've never said that personally. I mean, I don't really talk like that anyway, but still, you don't hear it. I'm around a lot of guys, is all I'm saying. I never hear that
if
one.
my grandpa ever said that.
You should ask. Is he alive?
Go, fuck yeah,
Fucking
he
ask
is.
him, Jesus.
I'm calling him right after
Please
this.
do
Grandpa,
that.
did you
Please
ever
share
say
it.
Martha is a real piece of
That Martha's a real piece of ass. Let me tell you something. I don't know why I made him like one of my Guido uncles.
He better say yes to me,
Hey,
goddammit.
that Martha, look at her over there, boy. Oof, I'm telling you. Hey, Vinny, look at that. Look at Martha.
So
Come on.
fucking
What are we
funny.
doing? Terrible. I made
Holy shit.
my Guido uncle ogling a poor woman named Martha. Some nice lady. Very sad.
Yeah, Martha's a real.
So, oh man. The funny part is there isn't even a Martha in the story. That's the best part of this.
Yeah, just in my family, in my life,
family.
and I've got to think about my grandma being a real piece
Sorry about
of
that. Every time you see her from now on, you're going to be like,
oh, Jesus.
You're going to want to say it to her for your own sense of humor.
I'm going to fucking say it.
I don't think she's going to get it. She's going to go out on a limb.
She's going to hit me. I guarantee
what did you
she
say
hits
to me? So this idiot Cox here, he arrives, he finds poorly named Margaret and William Brown and Billy Brown here, 32 years old for Billy, like I said, 34 for Margaret. They're there. He arrives. They're just like, hey, I guess come in. They know him. His grandfather lives there, so they're like, I don't know why he's there. He comes unannounced, so that's a little weird, but he comes in, hangs out for a second. He's only there for 3 minutes before this happens. He's like,
when they answer the door, he didn't say, I'm here to kill Margaret?
Nope. No, he didn't even say, like, where's
oh, not even Margaret. It's
not Margaret. No, Marie Margaret.
She got the good name.
She got a more modernized name here. So yeah, not even like, hi, I'm here to kill Marie. Like, is she with a corsage in his hand? Like, is Marie home? Please, I'm here to murder her.
Is she ready for her date to be murdered?
Please. So it's almost like he got there, was like, shit, people are here.
Right.
That's a little off. Okay, what do I do? So he hung out for like 3 minutes and then was like, fuck it, I guess I'll kill everybody. That was his thought, I think.
What an asshole.
Why not? So he whips out a .22 pistol.
Oh, no.
This is what he does, starts brandishing that. He threatens William Brown because, you got to subdue, this kind of asshole's going to try to subdue the guy first here so he can then be able to do whatever he wants with women. He doesn't do anything crazy with women, by the way, here. Just, this is a good one. There's, no raping, no pillaging, no dead children in this. That was the other thing, too, this week. I was like, I can't have no more dead kids.
No more dead kids.
I can't take another. I need a couple weeks off from dead kids when we have an episode with dead kids because that messes me up for a week.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, it does. And they're good cases and they're really interesting, but it's like I need a break with some people here who we can laugh at their names and have a good time. Not that what happens to them is not horrible, and it really is, and not that they're not humans and all that sort of shit, but they're not 11, so it's a little bit easier. So anyway, he starts whipping out the pistol, threatening William Brown here. He orders William Brown to tie up Sullins and Margaret Brown. Okay. So he's like, listen, Marie and Margaret, you got to tie them up with duct tape. Okay. So he orders William to do this. Of course,
Arkansas with their duct tape.
With their duct tape, yeah. They had to use what was left on the roof. Right. They had to pull it off the roof to actually have some in there. They were all out.
Yeah.
So then Cox here, this Cox sucker takes that's a cheap one, but I'm sorry. Takes William here.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, we'll let that slide. So takes William, and now that the other two are bound together, has them together with duct tape. He now binds them all three.
Goodness.
Cox takes William, puts him in the group, and binds them all three around their necks.
Oh my gosh.
So they're all like, it's not like they're in like their wrists are together. Yeah. They're together by their heads.
Ouch.
By their necks, which seems really, really uncomfortable. And I don't know how he did it. I don't know if he just wrapped it around so they're all kind of in one big thing, or if he like twisted it in between and made like a chain.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure exactly what the hell he did here to do this, but that was the thing. First, what he does is he figures out he wants to try to sedate them with sleeping medication. Okay. He's going to drug these people.
Oh, my gosh.
First, because he's like, I don't know if he didn't want it. They're tied up already. They're duct taped at the neck. You have a gun in your hand.
He doesn't know how much to use.
You have a gun in your hand, too. Like, if you want to kill people, what are we doing here with this shit? So he gives them all sleeping medication. But sleeping medication, if anybody's ever taken a sleeping pill, you don't just take it and pass out on the floor. No. Like, it takes an hour to kick in, and you're sitting there. It's like, it's like acid or something. Right. So you're going to wait for it for a while and go, is this shit going to work? Oh, my, look at the colors. It's one of those things. It's the same thing with sleep.
Right.
Is this thing going to work?
Drowsy.
And then you wake up the next morning in your driveway, with your keys in your ignition going, did I go somewhere last night?
My throat's dry.
Then my throat's dry. I think I went somewhere. I seem dehydrated. So they're all tied up here. He gives them the sleeping medication. It takes too long, the sleeping medication. He has no patience,
this guy. He has no time for this.
No, he came over. He wanted to kill and leave. Like, it's All Saints Day. He's got shit to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's All Saints Day. You have a lot of shit lined up that you really need to take care of.
She's not going to go if he doesn't do it today.
Thank you.
Good grief.
That's the thing. If we get too late in the day, then the whole thing is shot.
The whole elevator's gone.
We don't know we don't know about time zones. Is this Bethlehem time? What are we on here? Does it have to be this? Just a Greenwich Mean? how does this day work exactly with the hell heaven thing? He really should have sat down with somebody and worked this all out with a priest or a pastor or somebody that would know
when
this.
When does this Polar Express leave, and how long until the guy with the stamp ticket thing is gone?
That's it. So the drug is taking too long to kick in. He's pissed off. So what he does is he just gets a knife and starts hacking away at him.
Oh, my God.
Just starts stabbing the shit out of him, right? Just stab away at him. Little stabs here, little stabs there.
Yeah.
He takes breaks, too.
What?
He's like, this is a lot of work.
Jesus.
He's very lazy, this guy.
Didn't realize how long it takes to kill somebody.
He's very lazy. He's like, I thought I'd just come in and shoot Marie once through the head and I'd walk out. Like, this is Jesus. I got to tie people up. I got to stab.
Duct taping to do.
Good. I don't know where to stab to kill people. This guy's a disaster. So he starts stabbing these poor people. I mean, we're laughing, but this is horrible. These poor people are tied up. This is the scariest shit ever. They don't know why it's happening.
And he's taking breaks in between.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, what he does... Also, too, after he's done stabbing, I guess Margaret Brown here, old Margaret was squirming a little too much. So he's like, let me try to shoot her, too. These are taking shots at her. He's not a very good shot. Thank fuck for her. After his efforts here, so, he tries to kill them. He stabbed, he shot a little bit, and then he's like, man, I am parched.
No.
I am parched. Let me go into the kitchen and see what there is to eat
and
drink.
Oh, my God.
Chips. Nice. He cracks a Coke open. Bag of chips.
Watch the little Judge Judy.
Yeah, he's Pop. He just stands in the kitchen, drinks a Coke, eats some chips.
What?
Would go back in there, stab a little more, go back, get some more chips.
What?
That's what he would do. He was stabbing chips, Coke. He's like, Jesus, this is taking forever. He's like a mover who's like, I'm on my 15 right now. Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't even know what to say about this. He's drinking the Coke. He comes in. So after that, he comes in the room after a couple of stabbings and Cokes and some chips. He's had a whole thing of Pringles.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, this is taking forever. I drugged them. I've stabbed the shit out of all these people. None of them are dead.
He's eating Pringles because he's eating the Lay's. If you've watched the commercial, it gets your hand real greasy.
It really does.
And that will
if
make a knife slip.
Plus, he's probably covered in blood at this point, too. That's the other thing, too. Did he wash up or was he eating blood-stained Lay's?
That's the worst.
That's the worst. And there was all over his Coke.
He eats the barbecue ones. Those they're so gross.
I don't mind them that bad. I like
so
a barbecue
disgusting.
chip for some reason. I don't know. I guess I am suspect. I may kill an old lady. You never know. You never know.
Barbecue
Keep an
chips
eye
are
on
vile.
me. So he comes in and he's like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
He doesn't make enough use of this gun, I have to say, if he's going to have a gun and try to kill people. Not that I want him to do this, but put these...
Don't make them suffer.
Thank you. Thank you. It sounds terrible.
They're bleeding while you're eating chips. You come back to make them bleed more.
Obviously, I'd rather he called 911 than came in and finished them off.
Right.
But if they're gonna die, I don't want them to suffer. These poor people. So anyway, he comes back in after the Coke, after the chips, and he's like, "Let me try to strangle everyone quick,
my God.
because this is just getting too much.
Yeah.
Let me strangle them. This is hard work too. Good. You got to put your knee in their back.
Yeah.
This is tough."
He doesn't realize that you have to actually close a larynx and esophagus.
Oh God, it takes forever. And this one, he thinks this one's dead, and then he's strangling this one, and this one's coming back, and it's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah,
He can't stop
it's too
strangling.
much.
So he says, "This is ridiculous. I am one man.
Yeah.
One man can't kill
Can't do
three.
all this.
Like this is all Saints Day. You know what? I'm going to leave it up to the gods. Tell you what, here we go. Let me just set the house on fire.
What the hell?
Let me just burn this building to the fucking ground and leave this place and go away."
Jesus.
That's what he does. He sets the place on fire.
He did everything except poison them.
Yeah, he tried to drug them up a lot, like give them extra sleeping pills. So he kind of did that too. Like this is overkill.
Yeah.
These poor people did nothing to him.
Nothing.
At least the one he thinks in his head tried to kill his grandfather. At least the other two did nothing.
They're just friends of hers.
They're just sitting there.
As far as we know, that all she's doing is taking care of his grandfather, and he's going to burn her down for this.
Who knows? She might have been making cookies and invited them over. She's a nice old lady.
He's a shit hitman.
This guy, oh God,
he's the worst hitman of all time.
Thank fuck no one hired him for this, because they would be at least up for a discount at the very least for this. At the very least.
They'd be calling the cops and be like, "Look, we hired this fuck.
Yeah.
And he is a terrible hitman. We need you to arrest him."
Just awful. Just awful. So fire trucks come and police come because it's a huge blaze. They find 3 bodies in there. They're like, oh, that's unexpected.
Yeah.
There's 3 dead people in here. And especially how they found them is a little odd. And, you usually find people like this in a fire. He makes no attempts to cover his path. He does nothing. In about 2 minutes, they show up and they're like, "Oh, this is definitely arson." Anybody who's ever seen a fire apparently knew it was arson
they didn't
immediately.
Come in and find 3 people stabbed, shot, and burned, all duct taped together, and go, "This is clearly a suicide."
This is clearly a suicide. Yeah, this one did that. They all walked over together, set it on fire, and then sat down all at the same time. It's perfectly fine.
It's All Saints Day. They're trying to go to that spaceship
That's
in the
how you
sky.
do it.
Are they all wearing Nikes? Because that's
it,
a
man.
good
That's
indicator.
it. Going to that malt shop in the sky. That's it, man. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about our sponsor, Mack Weldon. Oh, and it's one of our favorite sponsors. Oh, we love Mack Weldon. They're the best. Jimmy buys Mack Weldon so his balls stink less. That's right, Mack Weldon. And their amazing antimicrobial protection that takes any stink that you may have away from you and just disposes of it in its magical, wonderful underwearness. Mack Weldon is the best, I'm telling you. Jimmy's not here right now because he's out doing active things in his amazing Mack Weldon underwear, socks, activewear, hoodies, shirts, you name it. They have everything that you could want. There's also a ladies section, so it's not just balls that we're worried about here. It's everything. So there's ladies, full line of ladies wear. Also, it is literally one of our favorite sponsors. We can't say our favorite because that's not nice to the others, but we love them so much. Support our show by supporting Mack Weldon. Also, they let us curse. I just said balls, and they're okay with that. I said I can say fuck right here in a commercial, and they're cool with that. Support that sponsor and support yourself with these amazing clothes. You can do that, and by going to MackWeldon.com, you get 20% off. 20% off your order just by using the promo code MURDER. MackWeldon.com, 20% off for the promo code MURDER. Amazing. Do it. Do yourselves a favor. MackWeldon.com, promo code MURDER. And now back to the show. So they find these people and they, look at them and they figure out that all of them died from stab wounds and fire and a combination of things. Margaret Brown, she died before the fire as a result of 14 stab wounds.
Sweet Pete.
And strangulation.
Oh, goodness.
That's what I mean. He was hacking, and he shot at her, too.
Yeah.
He was hacking the shit out of her. I guess he didn't hit her with the gun. He was hacking her up. Go and eating some chips, hacking a little more, strangle some, figure it out, have a couple more chips, start a fire. This guy is a disaster. William Brown had wires around his neck. He was trying to strangle William with wires.
He made like a garrote.
And he couldn't even get the job done with that. He had a garrote and 2 stab wounds, but William died in the fire. So that poor guy had to be a garroted neck and stab wounds bleeding out, but he had to die in a fire.
He knew the shit
suffering.
That's so terrible.
And couldn't do anything because I'm sure he was weak and couldn't drag dead bodies behind him on these duct tape too.
And he's bleeding profusely, likely.
Yeah. Sullins had 6 stab wounds on her, the step-grandmother.
The fucking target.
The target, yes. Apparently Margaret pissed him off.
Yeah,
because he
she
shot
really
at her,
took the brunt
stabbed
of
her.
it.
Yeah, she did. I don't know if she was more vocal or fighting back or what the deal was, but we'll get into that, actually, and I do have some explanation on that. Sullins here, like I said, 6 stab wounds. Some of them were penetrating her lungs, but she also died in the fire. She also had to suffer, drowning in her own blood, which is fantastic asshole. This guy is a complete asshole. It's pretty clear he did not hide his tracks pretty well. There's probably bloody, fingerprint on his Coke can in the kitchen or something. He's not doing well to cover anything.
Dude.
No. He's arrested on December 5th, so that's over a month later. They finally figure it out. Because at first it was probably just like, who could have done this? And then you talk to a couple people, and they're like, oh, yeah, that guy. Okay, no problem. He gives an immediate confession.
Of course.
Gives it all up. Detailed confessions. He's charged with 3 counts of capital murder, so that is death penalty time there.
In Arkansas, you betcha.
Yeah, so that's rough here. The case, too, is going to be a bifurcated case, which I'll explain in a little bit, which is a weird thing that doesn't normally happen in criminal cases. It's very strange here, but it's more of an arbitration thing.
Okay.
I'm looking at this was a rough one to dig into legal terms, but I'll explain it pretty simple here. Now, he confesses on videotape to this whole thing, and I have a rather lengthy excerpt from this where he describes exactly what happens. And normally I hate hate giving. You know me. I don't like quoting killers if it's a big long thing, or they're saying why there's some big horseshit manifesto, or they're trying. I don't like doing this, but this is literally a play-by-play, and he's the only one who knows it.
And he's willing to just spew it.
He's willing to spew it. He's caught, and he's like, whatever.
I can't wait to.
They gave him chips and a Coke, and he was like, I guess I'll talk.
Let me tell you guys this amazing story. You know, the last time I had chips and a Coke.
Let me tell you about that. So. Let's get into this here. He says, and this is all a big quote here. I'll just get into this. He said, I held the gun on Billy Brown and made him tie Marie and Margaret. He used electric cord to tie them up. I made him tie their hands and feet. Then I tied him up. I had him hold his hands over his head with his back to me. I ran the cord around his neck and had him put his hands down. This cord caused the cord to tighten around his neck. So he was thinking of some, how do I do this in a shitty way? Billy said Margaret had some type of sleeping pill, and it was supposed to have been a nerve pill. So whenever they introduced me to that, I said, well, all of them need to go to sleep. And so I had them take 4 pills. I had them all take 4 pills. So he gave them all 4 of these pills, too. So that's what I mean. He did drug them pretty good. And whenever they took them, and whether they took them or not or spit them out, I don't know. Marie wanted to go to the bathroom, so I cut the cords tying her to the others and carried her to the bathroom. I brought her back in and laid her on the bed, and that's when I tried to kill her. Or at least I thought I was trying to kill her. I stabbed her several times. Prior to that, I had been in the kitchen drinking Coke and eating chips. I was waiting on the pills to take effect so that I could set a fire and the smoke would kill them. That was his plan.
This whole thing was planned just this way.
Horrible. That's what I mean. This sounds like a complete botch. And he's like, no, this is what I had planned. This is perfect. I don't know if he's saying that to sound like he wasn't a complete disaster. He said, I got tired of waiting more or less because I had been there long enough. How long is long enough for killing people? You don't have time for this. It's not like I shouldn't spend 10 minutes at the drive-thru at McDonald's. You're murdering 3 people. That could take a while, asshole. Sorry. Clear your fucking schedule.
Been here too long.
Yeah, all Saints Day or not, clear out the schedule.
You're not waiting on your check at fucking Olive Garden.
Yeah, your trailer's wrapped around a tree anyway. You don't have anywhere to be. What's the goddamn difference? He'd been there long enough, so he said that's when I started to kill Margaret. He said I yanked up a coat because she started making noises and stuff like that, and so I muffled it as best I could until I could get in position. I tried stabbing her and couldn't kill her, so I just shot at her and couldn't kill her. So I took an electrical cord and wrapped it around her neck and held it with one of my feet and took my hands and pulled it up until I choked her to death. But she was even breathing after that.
My God.
Poor fucking people. Then I stabbed Billy in the chest and turned him over on his wife Margaret and stabbed him in the back. I figured he was dead, but he was alive. I went to Marie and tried to cut her throat with that knife, but it was too dull. Well, Marie didn't say nothing else, and the wire was around her neck, and like I say, I was impatient and I'm in a hurry. Then I went back into the kitchen and drank some more Coke and ate some more chips, and then I got out of there after I set the fire. That's his fucking explanation.
Wow.
More chips, more Coke, two chip and Coke breaks, stabbings.
He's having a potluck, for Pete's sake.
He's got a smorgasbord going on over here. He's just doing that. He said after setting the fire with, quote, greenish-looking foam and some plastic to make the smoke toxic so it would take the air out, to take the oxygen out. That's his quote of what he was trying to do.
He had a theory of what he was doing with the fire.
Make poison gas in here. And he's trying to gas people now.
You're burning a place down. All the gas is poisonous.
That's the thing. But he wanted to, poison them with poison gas and then have their bodies be charred up after that like he's a fucking Nazi.
Haven't you
on
done
top
enough
of shit.
to these people?
Unbelievable. Someone in this case that doesn't get brought up much except in the case, named Milo Healy at this point, appears at Cox's attorney's office, and he implicates himself in the murder. He says he did it by himself, and the attorney reports it to the police and the prosecution, who just discounted it as ridiculous because they had talked to this guy earlier and he didn't say he killed him, and this guy has a pretty detailed, based on forensics and this guy's explanation, they match up. So it's like this guy did it.
Hey, and also, just an aside, stop doing that, assholes. Anybody why do people do that?
I don't understand.
I hate
either.
that so much. You're doing nothing but causing more victims, you fucking dick.
Because that's stupid people thinking, I bet if I say it, then they won't know who did it, and neither of us will get you. I guarantee you, that's the stupid mentality here. Now, give me some chips and Coke. These are just stupid fucking people, obviously. So pre-trial, prosecutors announced they will seek the death penalty, like I said, when they file capital murder charges. He claims right off the bat that this whole thing is ridiculous, Cox. He says he was denied his right to due process and the Sixth Amendment rights to a fair jury trial because the trial court refused to grant his request for a continuance because he wanted a continuance to then file a change of venue thing because of the excessive publicity. It's not even excessive publicity about his case, though. This is what I'm saying before. It got sandwiched. There was a really, really, really big death penalty case going on at that moment that was getting insane amounts of publicity. Right. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. One was a person who was just executed, another one who was sentenced to death. Right. And it just blew up this death penalty talk in this part of Arkansas.
And whenever somebody
at this specific time
gets put to death, like, and they deserved it, or they were convicted and there was zero doubt, like, that makes everybody like just really hone in on any terrible case, fucking kill them. Like, it's very popular for people just to lean that way.
This was just, it really it bubbled up.
Okay.
Because Arkansas really just started firing up the death machine again. Okay. So it was firing up. So he was saying, everyone's just been talking about the death penalty. Yeah. What the hell here? Because
he's like, let's calm down, everybody. Yeah. Let's not talk about this yet.
The week before his trial, that's when they execute this guy. They execute the first guy in Arkansas since 1964.
Wow.
So that was, 25 years they hadn't executed someone, so it was a big thing, and now he's like, hey, can we do this farther away? He says that the publicity around the death penalty in connection with the executions made it impossible for the court to assemble a fair and impartial jury. Okay. And the court denied the motion to continue, and they instead brought in 100 extra people to include in the jury pool to ensure that there was enough jurors potentially that weren't tainted by the publicity.
Gotcha.
Because apparently here, what we found is they find there wasn't the considerable publicity wasn't enough, because they say that it's not the amount of publicity, this is in the law in Arkansas, not the amount of publicity, but the effect of the publicity on prospective jurors.
Okay.
The jurors need not be totally ignorant of the facts and issues involved. It is sufficient if a juror can lay aside his or her impression and opinion and render a verdict based on the evidence presented in court.
Okay.
So that sounds like that's the law, but if appeals-wise, probably fucking move it as we've come into before.
Just to make sure that this sticks.
That's something that actually gets cases overturned. Mm-hmm. This case is like I said, a bifurcation, which any attorneys out there, they're going to tell me that's completely wrong and all that. But apparently it's the judge can divide the trial into 2 parts, so they can render a judgment on the like a legal issue, and then that sort of thing. Like, they have a lot of times in the states, the way they do it, because the states use this differently, defendant who has raised the defense of mental disease or defect, that'll have that happen. Okay. Where it's like his guilt isn't really at factor, it's the actual... You know what I mean? Like, the judge, they can rule on one thing, and then there's the other thing as far as
so they can pull apart charges and
as far as the mental disease or defect. So it's like kind of like, yes, you're guilty. Now is the mental disease or defect make you not get responsible or whatever, or responsible but to be put in a home or whatever with that. That's usually if the defendant is guilty and the issue of mental disease is presented. That's what it says in the law.
So that's what he's pulling into it.
So that's what they're pulling in. Yeah. Well, not at first. He really doesn't bring up the mental disease very much, but I think they're all thinking that they don't want him to have that defense, it feels like. I'm not an attorney, so that's a tough one because it varies from state to state. I'm not exactly sure how Arkansas applies it. I'd need an attorney in Arkansas to probably tell us about that.
So this could just be something in strategy for the prosecution.
Possibly, yeah, or the defense. I'm not even sure. Prosecutors never really nailed down any kind of motive other than he thought she was trying to kill his grandfather, maybe. That's all they ever got out of him. He was like, she's trying to kill my grandfather. Yep, she leaves the gas on over there. I'm going to go over there and kill her. Like, that was all... That was it. There's nothing else.
What a bananas motive.
Yeah, it's crazy. Margaret Brown's father testified that Sue Cox, who's a relative of Johnny, obviously here, had broken Marie Sullen's arm and tried to strangle her with a coat hanger 2 weeks before the murders. So that's his defense team bringing that up, that, hey, another member of his everyone in that family wants to kill this lady, okay? You got to just line up and get them all because it's probably not him. Yeah.
She's under attack.
That's the thing. And apparently 3 hours before the murders took place, the Milo Healy that we talked about and Sue Cox had threatened to burn her house down, Marie's house to the ground, which is sounds like they got together and talked about it. He's like, I'll burn her house down right now. And he went over there. I don't know.
Everybody hates Marie.
Everyone wants to kill this lady. I don't understand why. It's ridiculous here. They didn't want to put, Cox's attorneys didn't want to put them on the stand, though, because... he feared their stories would completely fall apart because they're probably bullshit, 99.9%.
And maybe lunatics.
And they're probably crazy, and they're just going to make them look like a circus, and it looks like you're trying to create a circus. And juries usually don't like circuses.
No.
The medical examiner then testified in court about the 14 stab wounds in the neck, chest, breast, and side. for Margaret Brown, the electrical cord that was hanging from her neck that they found after the fire. She died from a combination of stab wounds and strangulation. So it was a cocktail, really. It was a potpourri.
At least she didn't know there was a fire.
Yeah, no shit. William Brown they found him with the wires of his neck around his neck, but he died in the fire. He was still alive at the time of the fire, obviously, and same thing with Marie. 6 times in the back and neck, and lungs penetrated the whole deal, like we said before. And she was also alive and died as a result of little column A, little column B on the stab wounds in the fire, basically. It's easy to get overtaken if you're bleeding out, probably, by fumes and smoke.
I imagine it makes it easier.
Yes, definitely. So, huge shocker here after all of this. Also, too, they show his videotaped confessions and all that sort of thing, and the crime scene and the brutality and all of that. Shocker, he's found guilty.
Of course.
Huge shocker.
Yeah.
Found guilty pretty easily.
Yeah.
Convicted and sentenced to death.
Oh.
Definitely sentenced to death.
Uh-oh.
Death by lethal injection. He's getting that. So that's a thing now. He's on death row now. So he's sitting there. He appeals in 1993.
Okay.
Basically, what they're trying to appeal, he has a few things here. Prosecutor says of this, the proof is overwhelming.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. They were brutal. The prosecutor called the murders brutal, inhumane, and heinous.
Wow.
And he says 2 of them perpetrated merely because the victims happened to be there.
I'm shocked he didn't say callous somewhere in that.
They probably should have. I think he went with heinous, and he's like, am I going with heinous or callous?
Yeah, he's like, I used callous on another case earlier.
You know what?
I should skip that one.
That judge has heard callous before out of me.
It's
like a comic. He's like, that Booker's seen that joke. I'm going to tell some new shit. Yeah. Prosecutor just says the crimes are fully compatible to those in other cases, which were the death sentence stood just fine, so it's fine. He argues on appeal, first of all, what I said about the jury selection and the publicity and the change of venue.
Sure.
Those are obviously his first concerns. Also, Cox here, Johnny, contends that the court erred while they had a voir dire ruling on jurors. There was a few jurors that they had a problem with here. He said that one of them should not have been excused for cause because there wasn't any cause, which they have their number of strikes, and that's a really, really hard thing to get them to to get them to overturn on something like that, because you have the lawyers have their numbers of strikes they can do with the juries, the potential jurors.
You got to choose some, they got to choose some.
Exactly. Right. So that's a tough one right there.
Hey guys, I just want to tell you real quick, web support is brought to you by webandwriter.com. If you're looking to build a website, go over to webandwriter.com. They build websites that look great on all screens, graphics, logos, engaging content. Go over to webandwriter.com or go over to facebook.com/webandwriter. They'll build you an unbelievable website at a very fair rate. They'll build you a very great website. Go see them, webandwriter.com.
As a juror, the person he was complaining about, this juror Thacker was her last name. The reason why she was excused, the cause was that her son had been prosecuted for a felony by the same prosecutor that was in this case.
I don't want that lady in there.
That's kind of a conflict of interest if you're the prosecutor. You go, that lady probably doesn't like me. Right. I'm going to get her off my jury. And they're saying, no, that's grounds for appeal. So also he says that the trial court erred in submitting the aggravating circumstance for the jury's consideration. He says he was charged with capital murder of 3 individuals under 3 separate counts of capital murder, and there's a big law about this. If a person commits capital murder within a premeditated and deliberated purpose of causing death of one person, he causes only the death. It's a long legal horseshit, basically, and he's trying to say, this isn't right, I shouldn't get all of these. Court tells him to go fucking pound rocks. Screw you, affirmed, eat shit, sentence and conviction. Without all this complicated legal garbage. 97, he has another appeal. Again, he's talking about, this is with the Arkansas Supreme Court. He's talking about the change of venue, blah, 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 blah. Same bullshit. This time, though, he's also arguing ineffective assistance of counsel, saying that his counsel failed to fully present as a mitigating circumstance that at least one of the murders, perhaps all 3, were committed by someone other than Cox.
What?
Because it's hard to bring that up if you're an attorney as an actual alternate theory of the crime if there's a goddamn videotape of you detailingly saying exactly what you did.
Exactly what happened.
How many chips you ate in between, and whether the Coke was fizzy enough for you. Really hard.
It's hard to actually try to create that image of it happening by somebody else's hand when you fucking said you did it.
That's all there is to it.
Exactly the way it happened.
His whole thing is there are very small inconsistencies here and there, a few, and it's not even that many of them, between his written and videotape confessions. So he's like, well, I must have been lying on one of those. So that means I didn't do it. Like, well, no, they're both from you.
Right.
And you still got found guilty. So sorry. That ends up happening here. And also, his last thing is here. He says that his counsel provoked a juror during jury selection, which created hostility toward him. And he claims that, there was a prejudice there because, quote, prejudice can, quote, be presumed since his fate was in the hands of an obviously hostile juror. Okay. Because she probably couldn't. She could not get over that, this juror, apparently.
Maybe she was an older lady, too.
And, maybe she was 67 years old and afraid of being killed by her husband's grandkid.
Maybe it was a Martha with a hot ass.
You never know. Yeah, that's a hot piece of ass there, Martha. So anyway, they find no evidence of any of this. They say, that there's no evidence that she was hostile. She wasn't telling other jurors that I'm going to burn this guy at the stake or anything like that. She was fine. It's ridiculous. And yes, appeal decision is a review of the record convinces us that Cox received a fair trial. We will find that the issues raised in Cox's motion for a certificate of appealability are not debatable among reasonable jurists. No court could resolve the issues differently, and the issues deserve no further proceedings. Accordingly, the motion for certificate of appealability is denied, affirmed. Go fuck yourself.
Yep.
So let's start the execution train going on here.
Start drinking the cocktail, brother.
That's what they do. Well, he's got an interesting part in this, too.
Okay.
He's got a clemency hearing on January 25th, 1999. He sends 2 letters to the board that morning stating that he does not want a hearing and he does not want to appear.
Okay.
This is like your last-ditch clemency appeal here. His lawyer, anyway, Craig Lambert, said that he went ahead with it anyway.
Of course.
He asked for a chance to speak to the board because he had a scheduled and he had things. He had people coming. He had witnesses and all that. He does not appear, Cox. He says he didn't think he had a shot at clemency, so he didn't think there was any point to it.
Okay.
He didn't think that any of the board members could get to know him in a brief hearing before the panel, is what he said. Get to know him. Well, he's not such a bad guy.
I don't do well on speed dates.
I know. He's stabbed. He's up like 22 stab wounds, a fire, a gunshot, a strangle, and some drugs. But he's a decent guy. There are things he didn't do to these people. Like, look at it that way.
He didn't rape them.
He didn't rape them.
Yeah,
that is
true.
one thing. He did not. He kept his
not.
dick in his pants, at least. That's one thing.
That's about the only thing.
That's it, man. That's true. Otherwise, he might have everything literally but the kitchen sink and just trying to hit him over the head with it. Now, he also had a priest testify, Lambert, the attorney. 5 death row inmates spoke on his behalf in a 90-minute session.
He made murderers like him?
Apparently,
that's so sweet.
Yeah. Or this lawyer said, hey, do this for me and I'll file your next appeal for you, maybe. So this was just time to argue against the death penalty in general rather than specific points of the case. This is just to try to pull on some heartstrings.
He found 5 other guys that also dislike the death penalty.
He tried, 5 guys on death row. Yeah, we don't think the death penalty is right. So, and like we said a million times, we're not real death penalty enthusiasts here at all.
But if there's 5 guys in this country that are completely against it,
these guys.
They're on death row.
It's going to be those guys. Yeah, the most against it. The most. The Reverend Charles Thessing of St. Jude Catholic Church was in there.
He sounds so eloquent.
Yes, he is. He came in there. He said that he said he was a giving person.
Yeah,
and he's
giving all right.
Yeah, he's changed since he's been in prison. He said that's he's just a different guy. One of the inmates, actually, this is kind of funny. He looked at all of them and asked them if they were all Republicans, which in Arkansas on the parole board is pretty, so they all started laughing.
They probably are.
They all started laughing, Paul, which is, he was just making a joke.
Yeah.
He called Cox, this inmate here, Jeff Paul, called Cox a friend who had helped him adjust to life on death row.
Okay.
And he says, quote, Governor Huckabee, he's a Baptist minister, so maybe he'll do something. Maybe you guys can do something. He's trying to pull for, the Lord. It's All Saints Day.
Yeah.
Shit. They're like, no, we'll kill him on November 1st. He'll go right to heaven. No problem. No problem. So they don't kill him on November 1st. Okay. But the governor's office, Huckabee doesn't have any answer to that. Okay. He doesn't have any response. He refuses to appear. Cox never ended up coming. The post-prison transfer board voted 6-0 to not recommend clemency. So he's fucked. February 16th is the execution date set. February 16th, 1999.
Yeah.
This is when shit gets really crazy because Cox tells his spiritual advisor, the Charles Thessing, that he believes, and this happened like a couple weeks before this, He doesn't even think, he thinks it's fine because he thinks he's going to survive the poison from the injection.
Because he's seen how hard it is to kill somebody.
He says, you can't kill people with just that. Shit, I would have done that first. He thinks he can survive. Yeah. He says that Cox said that it's, quote, it may just be just a show, and he thought it was possible to survive the poisons that shut down the heart and lungs. And he said, once I survive it, then they're just going to let me go.
Right.
That's what it is. Like, they'll inject me and be like, oh, we're going to kill him now. And I'll be like, no, it didn't kill me. And they'll be like, oh, well, let him go. Well, that's it. I guess he's done.
Our part.
Have a good one.
You paid your debt,
Here's your bus ticket. Have a good time. Like, that's what he thought was going to happen.
Idiot.
Yeah, so he also tried to set up appointments for the day after and the Friday after the execution. He was setting up, like, appointments with social workers and shit like that, and they were like, yeah. So that made his legal team kind of think he possibly put his competence in question. Yeah. But, I mean, he might be just losing his mind here at this point.
When you're faced with death, you do wild shit.
Yeah, Cox's lawyer.
Like, make appointments after your death day.
And say, I think I can beat the poison. I think I can beat it. What? What makes you think that?
I got an appointment February 24th to be. Sir, I don't think you're going to make it. No, I'm going to make it.
Oh, I'll get there. Don't worry. The word he used was immune to the poisons.
Shit.
No one's immune to poisons, but whatever. He's not Rasputin over here. Yeah. Like, this is what he didn't think he was doing. His lawyer said, quote, I had doubts about his competence. I still have doubts about his competence. So he's like, this is a mess.
I have some doubts myself.
Yes. U.S. Supreme Court denies the 11th hour appeal about 2 hours before the execution. He has his final meal. Yeah. I know you love the final meals.
Is it fried chicken?
It is not fried chicken. It's a double cheeseburger.
Yes.
A side of jalapeno peppers. And part of a raisin pie.
That's it?
That was his meal.
Part of a raisin pie.
Part of it, just, I'm full.
A double cheeseburger.
I'll save the rest for later, like that one guy who got executed.
He's like, I only need some of it. I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't understand. I don't know how much of it I'm going to eat, because although I'll survive the poisons, I'm immune. They might upset my stomach a little. I'm not sure.
Hungry.
I could just feel a little peckish when I get back.
I'm going to need the rest of that pie for those appointments I set for later. I'll have people come over and we can have the rest of that.
Let's do it.
Raisin pie?
Raisin pie. I've never heard of a raisin pie, by the way. I know people from Arkansas are going to be like, raisin pie is the best. I grew up, my grandmother made the best raisin pie. That's fine.
Raisins are gross.
The rest of the world is not eating raisin fucking pie. Let's just say that.
What are you, a toddler? Who eats raisins anyway after they're 8?
I don't mind a raisin.
Really?
Some raisin bran once in a while. I like that shit.
All right.
It's not bad.
I can see it
not out of a little box. No, in a cereal, in a raisin.
You got the little red Sun-Maid boxes? You got
no,
pack those in your pocket?
By the way, Kellogg's 2 scoops, too many fucking raisins. I don't want that many raisins. I don't want 2 scoops.
You might have 3 scoops in there.
Cut it down to 1 scoop, please, and I'd like it a lot. I have to pick out half a scoop, like it's too much scoopage. All right, anyway. So he has a 15-minute shower. You know he was whacking it like a madman
he
in there.
was tugging like crazy.
15-minute shower. He's like, I'll get one out before. I don't know how the poisons are going to affect it. Then he's sent to the cell to visit with his lawyer.
All this stuff in there, the poison will attach to it. I got to get this slime out.
I got to get it out. The demons.
Jesus.
So he's got a spiritual advisor. He's got his attorneys there. They cover his hands for the execution with a sheet. Yeah. This is what the shit that grosses me out about these executions, because they cover his hands because the last time they did it, the execution before him, the observers could see their fingers twitch as the chemicals were taken over, and it fucking disturbed people because they're killing someone and you're watching it happen, and normal people aren't okay with that.
You're there to watch a murder.
Yes, but they're trying to make it pleasant for that's the point. This is what pisses me off, that they're trying to make it palatable.
No.
Don't make it palatable. No. That's what I mean. You should have to, if they're going to do executions,
they should be naked, be in boxers.
No. Well, if you want to watch it, you have to be in the room, and they shoot him in the back of the head with a shotgun. You might get some brain on you. Sorry. This is not an easy thing. We're murdering someone, and we should do it. And there's some people where you go, shoot that motherfucker.
It should be the point. It should be the
guy
point.
Last week.
Right. The guy that's being killed should be to the point where everybody in the room's like, fucking yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. But it's just, they do this to try to make it like, you can't sanitize this. No. You are killing someone, so you don't try to sanitize it. Do it so we know you're doing it, and then people might have a problem with it a little more. And people don't have a problem with it if it's visually palatable, which is ridiculous. That's what I think is really a lot of hypocrisy.
Changing from the electric chair to this shit, it's like there should be a 3-foot flame off their fucking head.
That'll make people go, I don't know if I like I don't know if I like this or not.
3-foot flame? I don't know if I'm going to kill this bitch.
So after they asked him whether he had a last statement before his death here, he said, quote, "Yes, I'm anxious. Please release me and let me go." Well, yeah, no problem. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you not wanting to do this today?
I'm anxious. Please, was he saying, please release me as in, kill me? Or, let me out of this chair?
Let me go, he said. Please release me and let me go.
I need to go home, you guys. This is too
some
much.
Chips and a Coke. I need to take a break here.
I got appointments and half a raisin pie.
Yeah, so they administer. I got a half a raisin pie back there. So they administer the poison at 9:01.
Yeah.
And I'll save you the suspense. Yeah. He's not immune to poison. I'm sorry to laugh at this horrible thing, but he's apparently not. He's pronounced dead at 9:11 p.m., so 10 minutes, maybe he's more immune to other people.
Yeah.
They said he exhaled quickly when it started. He breathed out a couple of times here. After 5 minutes, he wasn't looking so good.
Yeah.
And then that was that. Cox did send a message through his lawyer to other death row inmates.
What?
He says, quote, "To all those wonderful and great guys that at this time remain on death row, I pray you grow in love and understanding and just know I love all of you."
Okay.
So I've never heard of a guy releasing a statement to the death row inmates.
That's bizarre.
A lot of camaraderie on death row. It's very strange here.
I mean, if there's anywhere in the world, I would assume that's where it is. Guys that are clinging to anything, especially just guys that are together, that their days are numbered.
Yeah.
You'd figure you'd become best friends.
I would assume.
I don't think I've ever heard of
like being in Vietnam together or something.
I've never heard of a death row riot.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
They're locked down and kept separate.
Yeah.
That's why. But yeah. What are you going to do? Those guys a lot of times are just beaten down by them.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever. Just stick
Fucking
me. I don't give a
brutal.
shit. Stick the needle in me.
Yeah.
2 family members watched the execution, John Brown and Donald Brown.
Yeah.
They said they left immediately without talking to reporters. And the Department of Corrections spokesperson said, quote, looked like they were ready to go home.
Yeah.
They wanted this shit to be over. It's been 10 years, the whole deal. Marie Sullins is buried in Waldron in Scott County, Arkansas. It's the Pilot Prairie Cemetery. And we don't really give a shit where Mr. Cox is buried. Doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? But that is a crazy-ass town of Kensett, Arkansas.
Yeah.
No Santa Claus like last week. I apologize for that. But there's also no dead kids, so, hey,
Yay!
everybody wins. Yay. If you like that story, please get on iTunes. Give us those 5 stars. It helps us so much. Doesn't matter what you say. It really, really doesn't. It's just the 5 stars really help us on the business end.
They do.
If that is not enough for you, if you're one of those amazing people that we're going to talk about in a minute, you can get on Patreon.com, patreon.com/crimeinsports, and you can make a donation there or one-time donation at PayPal using our email, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com.
Right.
You can do that. Also, you can check out our website, truecrimecomedyteam.com.
Yeah.
Look at that over here. And we have some amazing people this week.
Yeah.
So amazing that have helped us out so much.
Crazy.
Let's do those. Let's shout those out right now. What do you say,
Thank you
Jimmy?
guys very, very much for helping out so much, by the way. It's been fucking amazing, just the groundswell of support from... The point is that this is all homegrown, and
it is.
We have nobody
Thank you,
pushing
guys.
us. It's you guys telling friends and being amazing. So thank you to Blair Holderby, Ben Richards, Laura Culpepper, Allison Hilliard, Nadia Renica. Nadia, you're fantastic.
Thank you. Nadia.
Sherry Bryant, Stephanie Dietrich, Brendan and Victoria. This one's brutal. Djorak, D-J-O-R-A-K, Djorak.
Oh, wow.
Brendan
Yeah,
and
Djorak.
Victoria Djorak. I think
thank
that's
you
right.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, we're sorry if we messed up your name.
Tammy Collier, Elena Spano, Elena Spano or Alana? I think it's Alana. Stefan Lick. This week has been so tough with names.
Yeah,
you guys
really.
got
You're
Y's and
slaughtered
Z's.
over there.
Stefan Leek or Lick, Jess Landgren in Australia.
Jess.
Thank
You're
you, Jess,
awesome,
again. Molly Hewitt, Talia Crabtree, Leslie Woodruff, Grayson Lamb, Jamie Doring, Lindsay Smith, Kimberly Wilkerson, and Jay Bird Wedbetter. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Jed.
He's been around.
We love you, Wedbetter, since the beginning, man. He's been around,
man.
I think, since episode 8
Yeah.
he joined us.
It's incredible.
Has been
you guys have been fantastic.
One of the 4 horsemen since. Thank you guys, really.
The past week has been just the groundswell of support between Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and you guys you're killing it. So thank you. Keep it up.
If you have a tough to pronounce last name, make Jimmy give you a shout out.
Yeah.
Because then I get to watch him struggle with a pronunciation. You guys can tweet bullshit at him instead of me. So it's perfect. But why don't you tell these people how they can get a hold of you to tell you that you pronounced their name wrong. Let's do that.
Tell me how much of a piece of shit I am.
Do that.
And at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Find me and interact. It's I love it. I really appreciate you guys talking and really being involved in this. It's been great. So thank you.
Definitely. Also, you can get a hold of the show on Twitter at MurderSmall and Facebook.com/SmallTownPod. You can get a hold of me at Jimmy P is Funny on Twitter and all that. And you can copy and paste my last name. And if you want to find me on Facebook, don't be a hero. Don't do that. But guys, we've had a lot of fun. It's been a wild one. And until next week, guys, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.